Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to see about plant physiology. So plant physiology is basically a combination of two words, plant and physiology. So plant you all know, right? And physiology is what? Physiology is basically a branch of biology that deals with normal functioning of living organism and their parts. It basically deals with functioning of living organism and its part, right? Functioning of living organism and its part. So basically if we talk about plant physiology, so if we define plant physiology, it is what? It is a study of plant function and behavior, the process of growth, metabolism, reproduction, defense and communication that is required on account for plants being alive, right? So this is all about plant physiology. So say now this is a diagram of a plant, right? So if we before going into the functioning or metabolism of the plant, we need to know about different parts of the plants, right? So if you see, the plant parts are divided into two parts, right? This is what? Root system, and this is your shoot system. Root system is something which lies under the ground. You cannot see it, right, unless and until you dig out the plant. Shoot system is something which lies above the ground, which lies where? Above the ground. Now if you see the shoot system, it has got different types, right? So this is what green color one, we call it leaves. Now what is the function of leaf? Yes, it helps or it performs photosynthesis. Now what is photosynthesis? Yes, photosynthesis, you have heard the word. It is basically a combination of two words, photo plus synthesis. Photo means light, right? It is basically photon, or you can call it light. In the presence of light, the plants synthesize some sugar molecules, or you can say glucose. So that entire process is done by the leaves, right? So in this process, in the presence of light, what basically the leaves do, it takes carbon dioxide and water and synthesize sugar C6H12O6, which is also known as glucose plus oxygen, right? So this is the function of your leaves. Next, come to this is what we call the topmost one, we call it flower. Now, what is the function of flower? Yes, it helps in reproduction. It helps in what? Reproduction. So flowers, basically it is male part we call it stamen and female part we call it carpel. So reproduction in plants takes place through you can say flower is the main part which helps in reproduction, as it has both male and female part, right? Now, next coming to the fruit. If you see, some plants have fruits, some do not have. Now, if a plant is having a fruits, what is the function? Say this is a red one, it is a fruit, right? Now tell me, what is the function of fruit? Yes, what is this? This is suppose a fruit. Now, what is the function of fruit? Yes, it protects the seeds. If you see inside the fruit, what is present? Seeds are present. So basically the fruits protect the seeds, right? Next, coming to your stem part. Now what is this? This part we call it what? This entire green part we call it stem. What we call it stem. Now what is the function of stem? It supports the plant. It supports the plant, right? Next, this one, if you see, these are, we call it roots. Now what is the function of roots? Yes, it absorbs water. What it do? It absorbs water. So I am starting from very basics of plant physiology, right? So this is I have explained you the different parts and its function, right? Now in plant physiology, So now we can define plant physiology as a branch or study in botany dealing with the physiological process or functions of plants. So basically plants physiology is a branch of biology that deals with the physiological processes. What is physiological process? The functioning of the plants, the metabolism of plants, how plants reproduce, how plants communicate, right? So those things we grouped up and we studied in a branch known as plant physiology, right? Now, let me tell you about a thing. Suppose this is a plant here. If you see, this is a plant here. This is a plant, right? So here if you see, these are what? These are basically your roots, and these are basically what? This one we call it leaves, right? We call it what? Leaves. Sorry. Now what is happening? Suppose these roots, what is the function of the roots? What it do? It absorbs water. Absorbs water. Now when you pour water, you give water over the soil, right? So this water is basically absorbed by the roots, right? Now what will happen? This water is absorbed by the roots, but this water needs to travel to other parts of the plants, the leaves, right? So how it moves? So water is absorbed by roots. From roots it needs to travel to the leaves, right? So how the water is traveled from roots to the leaves? Through a organ, or you can say through a system known as xylem, right? So xylem is basically a part of the plant which carries the water from root to the leaves, right? Now previous slide I told you that the plants also synthesize their food, right? What is the function of leaves? I told you, right? It helps in your photosynthesis. Now what I told you, what is photosynthesis? It is basically your what? Formation of sugar from carbon dioxide, water. What it forms? C6H12O6 plus oxygen. This oxygen it releases out, which we are taking, we are inhaling, right? We know that oxygen we get from plants. So this is how oxygen is produced. Now coming to this photosynthesis process, once the sugar is synthesized, once the leaves prepares the food, that food needs to be transported to the other parts of the plant, right? So this photosynthesis, what we are getting from photosynthesis? We are getting sugar. What sugar? Glucose, right? C6H12O6. Now this sugar needs to travel from leaves to the roots, right? So from or other parts of the plant, other parts also. Who carries the synthesized sugar from the leaves to roots or other parts of the plant? It is your phloem. Phloem. So this phloem, what it do? It, whatever the sugar is prepared or synthesized from the leaves, it is taken to the roots or to other parts of the plant, right? So what is the function of xylem? So in short, if I tell you what is the function of xylem, say comes to your xylem. Now what is the function of xylem? Yes, it carries water from where? From roots to shoot or leaves, right? Now what is the function of phloem? Yes, phloem. What is the function of phloem? It carries or it transfer the photosynthetically prepared food, it transfer the photosynthetically prepared food from leaves to other parts of the plant. From leaves to other parts of the plants, right? So you know that plants take water, So this water, how plants take water, you also give water to the what you also water to your plants, right? If you have some plants collection in your home, what do? You water your plants. So that plants where you water over the soil. So what is present under the soil? Roots. So these roots will absorb the water. Once it absorbs, it will transfer the water to xylem. Now this xylem carries the water to your other parts of the plant, like leaves, fruits. Similarly, the plants, the green leaves prepares food which is then transferred to other parts of the plant through phloem, right? So this is what is basically how does how the food and water are carried from one part to another. So how the entire mechanism we are going to see in the next class, right? Clear? Now let me tell you one thing: xylem and phloem. Together, we called it vascular bundles. What we called it? We called it vascular bundles, right? On the basis of xylem and phloem, plants are divided into two types, right? So how? See, if this xylem and phloem, present, we call those plants what? We call those plants vascular plants, right? But if the xylem and phloem are absent, we call these plants what? Non-vascular plants, right? So xylem and phloem, if they are present, we call it vascular bundle. If vascular bundle or xylem and phloem are present, we call those plants vascular plants. If they are not present, then we call it non-vascular plants, right? So in vascular plants, let me give you an example here. Vascular plants, say this is a big plant, right? So they have a well-defined transport system. They have a well-defined xylem for transporting water, and they also have phloem for transporting the photosynthetically prepared food to different parts of the plant, right? But in case of non-vascular plants, they do not have a transport system. In case of non-vascular plants, they do not have a well-developed system. So basically you can say, let me write here, they do not have well developed what? System. They do not have well developed system for transporting water and food. For transporting water and food, right? So example, so here these plants, also these non-vascular plants, they do not have true roots, stems or leaves. So let me give you some examples of non-vascular plants. Example, have you seen mosses? Yes, mosses. Then liverwort. Have you seen liverworts? So these are basically what? Examples of non-vascular plant. Vascular plants, you know, trees. Yes, those comes under your what? Vascular plants, right? So that's all about today's class. Next class we will see about water transporting system. Next class what we will see? We will see water transport system, right? Next class we will see water transport system, then food transport system. Yes, this all we will discuss next class, right? So if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Thank you so much students for watching the session.